TR7 time. TR8 time. Enjoy the video. If you like this kind of stuff, give me a big old thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. Can't please all the people all the time. That's just what Jesus said. Might have to edit that one out.
7 on this one.
7 washers.
7 washers.
Anyway, we're spoiling my intro. We'll come back to your 7 washers in a second. Yeah, if you want to email me or contact me, churchhouseclassics, all one word, @gmail.com. I've got a website, Church House Classics. It's still all one word, .co.uk, and a little PayPal me link down there if you fancy buying me a beer or supporting the channel. And thank you very much to every single person who has so far. Enjoy the video. Right.
These feel wafer thin.
This is a TR8 engine. It's built up out of TR8 parts from the factory. It didn't come from one of the genuine right-hand drive TR8s, but it's all original parts. And it came out of a car that had broken its back. So what we're doing here is we're just going to assess and see if we can get this into this very nice TR7 here, which has got a boat anchor of an engine. We've not investigated any further on what the knocking noise is, but I'm thinking it's either run a main bearing or it's got a broken crank. More likely it's run a main bearing. That's part of the overheating example. Now, a couple of nice things about this. First of all, this thing is all SD1.
It was on the same production line as the SD1, so it's basically SD1 with a different inlet, as far as I understand.
The whole plenum on this thing as well is really, really super low, because obviously the TR7's got a super low bonnet. So I've undone the plenum bolts. Check out that. Sweet, isn't it? Not sure how efficient it is. But yeah, so some unobtainium parts here. So we're just going through, because the engine doesn't turn. And the idea was we're going to get the exhaust headers off. And these are particularly nasty. There's some really interesting bolts holding this shit on. There's a nice brass bolt there. The situation that James was just talking about just now with the washers. So because the bolt was too long, we just put a shitload of washers on it. Cack, isn't it?
Time for tea.
I don't mind if I do. Yeah, absolutely unobtainium right-hand drive TR8 steering rack. The subframe's shot. The front suspension arms and so forth. I mean, this will get refurbished before it goes in. LT77 gearbox in the back, which is pretty much box standard SD1, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Basically TR7. The later TR7s had the 5-speed LT77. The early ones had the Marina 4-speed.
Oh yeah, the old Spake 4 on the floor with the Marina box. Your mother had one of those. Right, there's the loom. The loom is out.
Hey.
So this is the 4CUX loom with some slight butchery and some rodent damage by the looks of things. And I want to have a look at that. That's the ECU for it that came with it. You've never had this thing run, have you?
No.
Nah, that's always fun, that. That's always fun. Right, I'm going to probably leave the rest of this as it is. I think what we need to do is we'll get the gearbox off next, I reckon. Gearbox. Because the engine didn't turn, we need to get the engine turning so we can do a compression check on it. But if the engine's not turning already, I do have my concerns. So we might just squirt some shit into the plug holes. You've never had it turning, have you?
No.
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 Right, so pulled off the nose section for the viscous fan, and you can see there's all sorts of grip marks around here, so someone's been having some fun with this. The bolts go right through the pulley, which was a bit of a challenge, but with some stubby spanners on the back, I was able to get that off. And then we'll address the crank pulley directly, because I couldn't turn this just now. And yay! Engine turns. Right, okay, so I think on that basis, I think we'll do a compression check next. So we'll clear the decks, get the wire to the starter motor, which is there, and yeah, we're going to get this going. Not going, but we're going to do a compression check and find out what's going on with it. So, wires off the back of the starter motor. That's been nice and warm, hasn't it? At some point. What I've basically done is taken the solenoid wire off the back of the solenoid, clamped it underneath the main battery terminal, attached that to a jump lead, attach the earth on, and when I now connect up the positive to a battery, that's good, isn't it? Right, so we'll do a compression check next, and then we can establish how healthy this thing is. Then I think the gearbox is going to come off. We started to take the gearbox off, but there were 2 bolts that we couldn't quite get to because they were they're on the trolley down here, but it will soon happen. Right, compression check. So we're in number 1. So if you care to apply the battery, 3 turns, I'll tell you when.
3, 2, 1.
That'll do. Well, that's pretty pitiful.
What have we got?
40 psi?
Ah, loads.
That's loads. There's quite a lot of shit coming out the exhaust port as well. So
overly surprising. It kind of run for the best part of 20 years.
yeah, chances are if we get the heads off, we'll be able to assess the situation with the balls.
Okay.
It might just need. I mean, ideally we don't want to go down the route of re-ringing it, because if we're re-ringing it, we might have to do the bearings. Then it starts becoming a complete rebuild. These heads may well need to be replaced anyway because of the butchery that happened with the exhaust manifolds.
Yeah.
Right, 1 second. And 3. 50.
It's consistently bad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's something to do with the inlet manifold. But it's all open, so it's not like the throttle's closed, because normally you would hold the throttle open when you're doing a compression check. If they're consistently bad across the board, across the range, then, you know, it's something I might have to think about. But dipstick's in the way, this one.
It's a very old dipstick as well, isn't it?
This pen's got pilot written on it. Is that to do with you?
Nothing to do with me.
No, right, okay. Go on, 5. That's got 25.
Ooh.
I think you've got a set of seized rings here. I suspect the rings are...
Wouldn't surprise me.
But it's not difficult to get the head off this and assess it. The inlet manifold will come out, and at the same time you can do the Black Death challenge.
Sure.
Right, number 7. 50, 60, 70, 80.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Good for dry, I suppose.
For us, it's obviously that, yeah, this is the first time, aside from a little while ago, it's the first time this thing's turned, like you say, in 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Right. Right. That's it. Number 1. Sorry, number 2.
Number 2, hopefully.
That's 55, that one. Let's put that up there. Could just be a case of putting some diesel oil in the balls. If you don't want to get the heads off today, put some diesel oil in the balls and see if it soaks down and loosens the rings up.
Would WD-40 do the same, or is diesel better?
It's very good at dispersing water, not very good at releasing things. Right, off you go again. 100.
It's not very consistent, is it?
Yeah, this is like I say, this is rings.
Okay.
Could be unlikely to be stuck valves, but it might be the valves aren't seating properly, which a wet test will give us that information.
Okay.
What we could do, I guess, is to take the rocker gear off and run the same test, but without the rocker gear attached.
There's no interference.
Because then every single valve should, in theory, be closed.
But those valves have been stuck open. The ones that were open and stuck open for 20 years.
Yeah.
There could be corrosion on them.
Could be corrosion on them. Right, and again. Okay, that's 60. I mean, also, it could be that the time we're taking to turn this engine over is starting to loosen shit up.
Sure. So in theory they should get better each one.
It should in theory, although just now I think we heard the sound of a piston just touching
Oh really?
a valve.
No.
Just. You're just going donk, donk.
sounded like pressure to me.
Over here, it sounded like on this side, it sounded like there was just a valve might have just been touching a piston. We'll do a wet test. We'll do a wet test with WD-40 if you haven't got anything
Oh, we'll
else.
get diesel out of the car.
Ugh. Go on then. 70. Right, let's us go back to number 1 again. You haven't got your compressor here, have you?
No. I asked you last night. You said you didn't.
No, because I haven't got my leak test kit anyway here. It's not even at home. But what I've basically got at home is a leak test kit that you plug in, and you put the compressor on it, and you fill the cylinder up, and the rate at which it leaks. Well, obviously you need to be at top dead centre or take the rocker shafts out.
Right.
And the rate of leakage will tell you whether it's likely to be valves or not.
Okay.
But by taking the taking the rocker covers off next, because that should be the next thing. You might need to brush some of the crap out of the way. Right, we'll just go back to 1 again. The reason being, just want to see if it has gone up at all. Right, in your own time.
Stand by. You're making connections here. Okay, clear.
Clear. Same. Just the same. So I suggest next, let's get these rocker covers off and release the rocker gear and see whether the valves are sitting level.
Okay.
Because if the valves aren't sitting level, then the valves aren't sticking open and we know where the problem is. It's a flathead screwdriver, I think.
They look like wood screws.
They probably are wood screws. In fact, let's just bring the camera in for a closer look here.
So we've got domed head screws there.
Yeah, do you think these are actually, these are screws, I think, that have come from, the TR8s would have had these screws then.
What, wood screws?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it.
I think some right ham-fisted Gibbon's been on this engine before we got here. These are the original style screws. We need a crosshead and we need a wood screw. So first and foremost, they weren't wood screws. They're some fixing, I don't know what they are, UNC by looks of things, but I thought these things were UNF originally. I'll double check, but anyway, they weren't wood screws. Not much Black Death in here though, is there? That's all quite clean in there. So I think what we do next, just take the rocker gear off, and if all the valves come up and they're all level, then I'm happy. Well, happy that it's not the valve sticking, I think. Let's put you over here. Now. Oh dear, where are the 5/8?
Good bloody hell.
Yeah. You just get a ham-fisted Gibbon on.
Jesus, wet. These aren't left-handed threads, daft, are they?
No, they're not.
Jesus, wet. They're a breaker bar.
They are a bit tight, I'll give them that. Fuck you!
They've been over-talked, haven't they?
That's been over-talked, yeah. Or, it's just over the years, it's got, let's take the dipstick out.
Okay.
Now that should just come right out. The tube should come out of the engine block, you see. Coming out, is it?
There's a plate here to come out.
Is there?
Yeah, that plate's holding it in, look.
Oh, crikey, right. Let's have that off, 760.
Don't pull too hard. Half an hour.
It come off
You'll
in
pull
the
it
end.
right off in your hand. Would you reckon?
Right, let me get these last two undone. That'd be 7/16ths. Or 11.
You just enjoy the dipstick, are you?
I'm just enjoying the dipstick. And if this thing's... I'm dressing to the left today, so if this thing goes...
La 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 la.
If this thing goes, I'm going to whack myself in the spuds. Right, have you got somewhere we can put your drip tray you had the water in? At the front.
Still got water in it, I think.
Oh,
I tipped it out, didn't I? You told me off, I remember. This ice cream thing's no good, is it? It's too small.
Yeah, well, it'd be okay actually. Just want to rest this in it, really. Just so we're not getting...
I don't know the drip tray, see? Then we've got bolts in the drip tray.
Has the mother-in-law got a dishwasher?
No.
We could put it in your new parts washer.
I was about to put the rocket covers in there, but yeah, if you want.
Oh, that's a good idea. Just put it upside down in the
rocker covers.
in the rocker cover. You just look at their website for TFR.
Okay.
Right, those are all closed, I'd say, because they open and they spring back. They've got nice big double springs on them as well. Performance springs.
There you go.
That's a little bit of.
There's a little bit down here as well, but it's
Tiny little bit.
not as bad as I was expecting.
I mean, that honestly, that would clean up. That head will look like new, which is such a rotten shame. That someone's gibbon has absolutely massacred these threads.
Missing the head bolt.
We're missing a head bolt. That was a nervous laugh, wasn't it? You're missing a head bolt.
I thought I might have been. Right, okay. Oh, we get the next one off as well.
So it's interesting then. So it looks like then someone might have had this thing apart.
Almost certainly, I would have thought.
If number one wet test doesn't bring it up much, I think then we're kind of wasting our time going through the rest of them, checking them. We're actually better served getting the heads off.
Okay.
And maybe getting these struts out of the way as well.
It would help, wouldn't it?
They're only a little bit in the way.
The reason I left them on was I thought, well, if we're going to start the engine and it's that massive torque, that'll actually stop it from flipping over on its side.
Well, if it fires on all 8 cylinders, you can just rest it on the sump.
True. The chances of that, I suspect, are pretty marginal.
Although the additional looks quite good, but the trouble is it's been bodged a fair bit. There was a big spider over here somewhere, but I don't know where he's gone now.
Do you not like them then?
He's flipped off somewhere.
Right,
okay, we wanted the compression tester. I'm yapping.
We've hit it somewhere.
It's been taken up. What the fuck's happened to that then?
It's not down there, it's not up there. It's got to be on the back of the car here somewhere. There it is.
Silly arse.
With your notes.
With my notes. Underneath the piece of paper that I'm writing all the compressions on. So every single cylinder now
should have the valves closed.
Should have the valves closed.
Oh, it's starting to rain. Do you want to shut your car up or are you not fussed? I'm going to shut the boot on at the end.
A wet test on number one now before we give up on this exercise and start pulling heads off. There is oil flow. It's good news. Encouraging. Right, to you.
Okay, go.
That's got to 50 now. So a wet test hasn't really improved the situation. Although we're actually just using ATF here rather than anything more substantial. Crank him over a bit. Stop. So we dilute the ATF a little bit, you see. I should have remembered you didn't have any oil.
I could have brought some if I'd known. I completely forgot.
Yeah, doesn't matter. We can work around it. Right, okay. To you. Stop. Let me go and get my compression tester just to double check.
Okay.
Because we don't want to be getting any more false positives.
Okay.
Or false negatives in this case. We've had enough of those. In your own time. $45 to $50, it's inconsistent. Sometimes it's 50, sometimes it's 45, sometimes it's 30. I suspect we've got a problem with the valve seating.
Okay, that wouldn't surprise me. Why don't we try some of the other cylinders? Because if that one of those valves has been stuck open for 20 years, one of the other ones should be stuck shut.
Right, so which ones were best? So we could try, so we had the lowest there was 5. Shall we see if 5 responds now the engine's been turning over a little bit?
Do you want to put a wet test in there or not?
Let's just try this for a second and then we'll lob. It's going to be WD-40 I think rather than just anything to see if the gaps. Right, go on. Oh, hang on a sec. Go on. It's gone up to 50 this time.
So I'm loosening.
So things are starting to loosen up, which would it would indicate to me that the piston rings it needs a red X.
Yeah, sat in there for a few days.
And I reckon, if you were to get a squirty can, your old can, with some diesel oil in it.
There'll be enough with it.
Yeah. Diesel oil is normally quite good at this. But I would be inclined to get this inlet manifold off anyway, because I want to see the state of the camshaft.
Okay.
I don't necessarily have to get the heads off. Right, that's a wet test, go on. It's got right down now.
Oh.
Back down to 25 again.
Why would a wet test make it go down?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about that, because I've not experienced that before. Let's do it again. Now, because I suspect the piston rings are stuck.
Well, that wouldn't be at all of a surprise, really.
It wouldn't be at all of a surprise for the amount of time that this thing has been sitting there doing the square root of nout.
Right, inlet off then.
Inlet off. That must be so flipping close.
No, we'll just pull it off. If not, I'll pull the head up, and then you can see what's
Right, so I'll lift him up now. It should
then-
come up. It's so bloody close. There we are. It's off now.
The other one's still connected.
Right, give him a proper good yank. Right,
I don't want to break anything.
like that. Right,
Jolly good.
he's off. Oh, what sort of treasure have we got in here then? No sovereigns, lots of hazelnuts. Cooling system might be a bit bunged up.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That looks like
Steel seal.
jellified. No, it looks like jellified antifreeze, I think.
Oh, it could be. Now careful, because the edges on this will be fiendishly
Razor.
sharp. Oh, that looks nice and clean.
No, it does look surprisingly good. That can looks alright as well.
No, the cam's fucked.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You can see the wear.
Oh yeah.
You can see the wear mark on the cam goes from down there up and then around,
Okay.
and that was even worse. So yeah,
It's not with the back one, isn't it? The back load that goes on, isn't it? Fuel starvation, the back of the V8. Well, that was legendary.
generally.
God, shit. Okay, so cam needs changing.
So cam will need changing. That's just what we do next. It's only 14 bolts. Is get one of the heads out,
Okay.
and we'll look at the state of the cylinder bores. We can also assess whether, because you're going to want to get these off to clean them anyway.
Yeah. Well, if we do this side, because it's only 13 bolts. Same time.
This is absolutely true. You can rest your arse on this old strut. Right, now you may well need a breaker bar for this.
Have you got one?
Not with me.
Bugger, I'll have to go home then.
Hang on, we've got this. On the end of your...
not enough.
It might be.
You think?
Yeah. It's going to give you a foot.
What's the size of
I
that?
need to do this in order, really. 5/8. You won't have a 5/8 there, will you?
Probably not. No. I can't believe I left the brake mask on the garage floor. I thought I picked everything up.
5/8. We'll try and undo it without it first of all.
Can I nick one of your wipes?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Very generous. Very, very kind. I'll put that knife away before I put my hand on it.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry. I'm just full of shit like that. I do it all the time. I told you, I've got soft, delicate pilot's hands and that used to work.
Yeah, that works.
Skin like tissue paper.
That was not even tight. So we could actually have blown head gaskets, which will be giving you compression issues as well.
Oh, well, that's more likely, I guess.
Right, do you want to do that little 11mm down there and get your dipstick out of the way?
Wait,
All right, I'll go over here then.
dipstick, get it away. 11mm.
Absolutely pissing hours of fun. Right, when that clamp's out of the way, put the clamp straight back on again when you've finished. Oh, unless it's on a bolt. Is it actually on a bolt? No, it isn't. Yes, it is. It's on a bolt. Look at that. So no, yeah, don't put the clamp back on yet. We'll get the bolt out first.
Oh.
Right, you can wind that one out. 5/8. I'll undo all the. Right. Now, where did I? Sorry. this one. That was done. And then that one. Fuck you.
You're not on.
Right, let me get my head around it.
Still not on. Go down. It's been knocked on.
It's not going on. That's because there's all that fucking gank in there. You have to get a screwdriver in there to get all of that.
Just fall now. Try it again. That's it, you're on now.
It wasn't tight. Well, there should be 65 foot-pounds, you see. Let's put you up there. Oh!
Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah. Oh. Normally on the front cylinder up here, and it's from the power steering pump.
Okay. Oh. Well, we need another tray now for these, don't we?
I would be inclined to bung it all into the same box as the other bolts, the inlet manifold bolts. So you've got head bolts, inlet manifold bolts. Rocker bolts can stay with the rockers.
Where's the box?
Where's the fucking box gone? You got it.
So I'll put the inlet gasket things as well, don't go in there.
Ah, so you've got the full 14 bolts on this side. That's nice, isn't it?
You're going to do both heads,
Well, I'm going to slacken them anyway, because I got this. See, these are tighter. Righty tighty. About 15.
15.
15 or 16. Oh, that was tight. We're going to have to get some more furniture off on this side, but when we get that side off, we'll have a look. Anyway, I found out your car, you bought it in 2011,
right?
And the last MOT expired in 2014.
So I use it up until that time then.
Yeah.
So not as long as I thought then. Yeah. I had a lot of time to contemplate my navel in getting something done with this. So. It's when we need the windy going to.
Yeah, I'll be worried about the steel threads in the...
No, but once they're loose, just to whip them out.
Right, as we're going to change the hydraulic tappets, because we're putting a new cam in, let's just look at the rocker gear, because we might still need to keep these in the same order. Yeah, rockers are fine. So what we might need then is I number the push rods.
You see, I keep getting this whiff of hot in here.
Keep getting this whiff of what?
Hot. It feels like the engine's cooked itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell hot, like it's got burnt. There's one there, please, for your.
Ah, did we miss
brute
one?
Force. Please.
Ignore a Hans. That's a bit naughty. Oh.
There you
go. Right. Let's have the lid off a cardboard box or something that's over there.
Okay, stand by.
See?
So set heads, a couple £100.
Well, I mean, honestly, you could pick them up for like 20 quid. Because people are turning their P38 engines into top gear fucking coffee tables. Going out their way to do it, rushing as fast as they can. Oh, it's a V8, quickly, I'll turn it into a coffee table. That's original.
I quite like the idea of it as a wine rack.
Yeah, they are quite good as wine racks. I've actually got a V8 engine. If you wanted a wine rack, your wife's not going to go absolutely berserk.
Absolutely berserk.
Yeah. Heads off. Nothing really nasty. Head gasket's intact there, but again, look at all this shit here. That's all, that should be open there. Cooling system is absolutely rammed. So I don't know what's going on there. I would suggest that the head gasket on this side hadn't blown, because all the oil rings, all the fire rings look intact. That fluid in there, don't worry about that, that's the oil and shit we squirted in to try and get a dry and wet reading. Let me put this over here because it's made out of tin and it's fiendishly sharp. It's quite a lip at the top of the bores, noticeable. So I think it's going to end up needing a rebore. Now this engine is an 11A, which is a 9.35 to 1 compression ratio SD1 automatic block. So if we're going to rebore it, and I might have a better engine back at base, I do have a complete set of standard pistons from 935, but we'll have to find out what bore size this is and see what we're going to actually do with it. But again, quite clean on the inside. No real nasty proper Black Death. Just doing a bit more investigation on this side. Yes, we have got problems with the cooling system. Let's have your screwdriver, please, sir. And all of this shite in here, this cooling system is absolutely and utterly bunged up with this. Look at it. Now I don't know if that's the wallpaper paste from mixing, or I reckon more likely, because that's clear there, I reckon that's steel seal. Or one of those kind of proprietary guaranteed to fix your head gasket problems or block up your cooling system. That end there, I think that's just corrosion there, that end. Yeah, we're just talking about whether we're going to go whole stroker crank 5 litre whatever on this thing and go absolutely fucking berserk on it. I don't know yet. We've got all the fixings that we need, all the unique parts for a TR8 we've got. Expensive unobtainium parts, and if this thing's got a lip on it, even though it turns and the compressions are really low because the rings are all messed up, we don't know what happened to this engine, but the oil smells burnt, doesn't it?
It sure does. It's got hot at some point, very hot.
It's got hot at some point, but I think the cooling system being as bunged up as it is has not helped it. Here we go, other head's off. Evidence this head has been skimmed fairly recently. It's in quite shiny skimmed order. Again, lots of bunged up waterways and so forth. Less so on this side, but then that was bunged up there. It stinks. Absolutely stinks of burnt oil. It has been running hugely rich. Carbon deposits are quite soft on it. I think the fuel map was well out. Lot of carbon deposits on top of the piston here, but again, it's soft, you see. Yeah, right, okay, and as far as the balls are concerned, right, let me dozy-do you. Oh! Didn't have to do that. Yeah, there's absolute monster of a ridge at the top of this. I think this engine was quite high mileage before it was rebuilt with these heads. That's a good 20 thou ridge, if not more. And you feel it when you run your fingernail up the ball, and your fingernail cannot get to the top of the ball. You can hear it? That's the ridge. Not a good one. Yes. Right, okay, so I don't know.